It is not. That's a girl. Although Cameron might be a very lovely boy, or she might be a very lovely man, but that would be a girl. Those of you watching the home version, book report is due in 8 days, which means 1 week from today you're going to be freaking yourself out, crying yourself to sleep because you put it off to the last minute, unless you're responsible and turn it in by Friday. But who's responsible nowadays? Spirit Day was today, but I can't see you because you're not here. Shirt orders are due by tomorrow, so we can order that for you. Bell work, which you're going to do in a moment, is pause as I explain, or after I explain. You pause it now, and you're just going to be confused. But then what you're going to do is write this sentence. Tonight, I will read my story and pass my quiz. And then the second sentence, I am lazy, but I do not want to fail. And then for each one of those, you're going to label it noun, pronoun, verb, adjective, adverb, stuff like that, to try and help you guys out. Did I not show you guys the next screen?
No.
Raggy. Here's the easy version to help you out that I blame you guys for distracting me. And so here's how it works out. So now you can double check your answers. And so I'm telling you, you have 2 nouns in the first sentence, 1 pronoun, 3 verbs, 2 adjectives. So now you can double check things to make sure it is correct on there. I probably should have shown it to you sooner, but that would require me to take responsibility, and I'm just not going to do that. So instead I'm just going to blame all of you guys, because that makes me feel better. And so hopefully this makes things a wee bit easier on you. So now we're going to play our round of Magic Lynn's game show, audience version. Normally when we have a bit more time and our story is not as long, or, trust me, you guys are going to go all third period on me when we read this story, which means you're going to start talking and get excited because you have no option. I need more time with you. So we're going to do the audience version of it. Here's how audience version of Magic Lynn's game show works. Impact learning is still going to play a major role in it. But now, as opposed to one person, it is the entire class. So we'll get to the first word, and I'll say, what do you guys think it is? And then I just listen for what you guys tell me. And if one person boldly is like, interjection! And I'm like, that's what it is. I go, does anyone disagree? Then I look for people covering their ears. And if you're covering your ears, I go, oh, what do you say it is? And then we go off of your answer. And then if the people don't agree with you, then we get to vote, and it goes off of votey bits from there. Again, if your ears are covered, that means either A, you're offering to go, or B, offering to lose points, because you should know all of these answers, because you're smart childrenicals, and you've done and paid all of attention and done the notes, so you should be like, Mr. Broviak, this is easy mode. And I'm like, go you sassy pants. Let's find out. Round 1. Tonight I will read my story and pass my quiz. By the way, that's just a random sentence that's connecting to the stuff this week, because Friday you have a quiz, and you have to read a story called Charles for it. So this is my way of trying to help you prepare for that by saying, hey, prior to Thursday night, kids who are waiting until the last minute to do things, you should read those 2 stories, nonfiction article and Charles, for the quiz on Friday, so you don't epically fail. So this way you get to tape in your quiz next week, because that's why you joined the tape club, so you can tape in your quiz. But step 1 is, responsibility. Let's begin. Tonight! What part of speech is tonight? Or we could just, what's noun? Do I have anyone disagreeing with noun? Stein?
I think it's an adverb because adverb means when and where it takes place.
She says adverb because of when and where. All right, well, I have adverb. Is anyone going back to noun, or are we going to go with adverb? I hear adverb. Going once adverb, twice adverb, 3 times. Adverb's correct. Nice doing.
Okay.
Tells you when it happens. So if it tells you when, that'd be adverb. I.
Pronoun.
I hear pronoun. Anyone disagreeing? Pronoun it is. Will.
Verb.
I hear verb.
Wait.
Any disagreement?
Limit.
Yes, he did get excited. I said will, and he goes, yes. I go, no will. It is correct. That is a verb. Oh, by the way, if you have wrong answers, fix them. That's why we're going over them. So don't just leave yours wrong. It's like, I have 12 prepositions. I'm like, well, there's only 10 words. Like, I'm special. Yes, you are. But this is where you'd fix them. Read. I hear verb. Verb it is. My.
Adjective.
I hear adjective. Correct again. Wow, third period messed that one up. Story.
Noun.
Noun. It's correct again. And is correct again. Pass. Correct again. My. Correct again. Quiz. Is correct again. Look at that. Almost like you guys are learning a little bit. And then we get to round 2. I am lazy, but I do not want to fail. Mr. Brovicast, that sentence is frighteningly accurate. Ah, no. That's the better smacky side. I.
It's a pronoun.
Correct. Am.
Verb.
Correct. Lazy.
Adjective.
Correct. But.
Conjunction.
Correct. I. Correct. Do.
Verb.
Do I hear? Is that verb?
Yes, verb.
Correct. You guys did not seem confident on that one. Not. We have no answer at all. I hear adjective. Is that the answer we're going with? Anyone disagreeing on adjective? Make sure. Correct. Not an adjective. Especially being as the fact there's only one adjective, and you've already used it. So I'm just saying that was a bold move, being like it's a sneaky ninja adjective. That's not how they work either. It's almost like I gave you that to help you. Your next best answer would have been noun, just to like boldly throw it out there. But all right. So now back to not again. We now know what it's not. And
It's a verb.
verb. Is that our answer?
I said it the first time, but you didn't.
Not a verb.
It's adverb. What is it?
That's my question to you.
Adverb.
I hear adverb. Anyone going on?
It's adverb.
Adverb?
Maybe. I don't. It's a word.
Then let's vote. I hear adverb and I hear preposition. We'll see which one it goes with. Hang on. Let's get it into the correct position. Those of you who say, you can't cover your ears, you're voting. Those of you who say adverb, raise hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woman and or man up, so I can see your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those of you who say preposition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You do not have to. Incorrect. It is not a preposition.
I knew that. Adverb.
Adverb. Do I have anyone disagreeing on adverb?
Where's
And yeah, it's an adverb. Adverbs because it modifies a verb. You're modifying the verb do. Are you going to do it? Not. So because it's a not, you are saying you are not doing it. Hence, modifying a verb. Hence, adverb. Amblin.
Why do you keep saying a globetrotter word?
Globetrotter words are a and the.
But
Of which?
no, in the thingy. Yeah, you said no was one.
No, never did.
No, in the thingy. That's for internal competence.
Yeah,
Not always.
different thing. I know. I've tried to teach you so many things. They all get jumbled into your head. Right? And then what? Verbs. And correct. Verb. You can't give up yet. It's only September. 2.
Preposition.
I hear preposition. Correct.
I know this one.
Fail.
Verb. Do you want banana?
Well, no, you guys got it correct. Nice done. That one. Fail would be verb. Speaking of failure, those of you who did not write your name on the story that you have on your desk. Mr. Brovicast, I don't know. Never mind, I figured it out. Good job. See how low key I was on that one to try and help you out? Happy! That's why I'm here to help you. I know I've never said this before in my class, but I'm not like other teachers. You don't have to give me that look when you nod.
It's my favorite.
Trust me, you'll like this one. So now, with our story of the landlady, unless you're one of my kids finishing the homework, you're welcome to keep your stuff out because you're struggling. So you're welcome to keep on working unless you want to do it at home. That's fine. Just a reminder. Otherwise, All we need is story to get into for today. With our story, The Landlady. On here, what is the beginning of our mountain?
Boring beginning stuff.
Exposition.
Do we not remember fresh? Boring beginning stuff. Nicely done. So it's going to be the beginning of it. So on this one, we're going to get to the introduction of a character, where it's taking place, and so little things like that. And then we're going to get to rising action. The other thing for this story is we mentioned foreshadowing before. Foreshadowing plays a big role in this story. What is foreshadowing?
Clues to events that will happen later.
Well done again. This is one where, once again, it is going to be one of those where it has just dangles little things in front of you, but you're not going to know how it truly ends until all of a sudden we have to put all the foreshadowing clues together. Much like with Locker Junkie, much like with Lady and the Tiger, this one just ends. That's the bad news. The good news is there is a definite ending, but you have to pick up on the clues to figure it out. If you pick up on the clues, not only is it a definite ending, it's a what kind of ending. And so we're going to help give you the clues and poke you along to help you get there. All right, so now we get to Landlady with our little beginning bits. I'm going to read just time-wise to make sure we get to all the good bits. I'm going to get to our stuff going up from there. All right, this beginning part, figure out where it's taking place, who is in it, when, like time of day it's taking place, and there'll be a few little other things I'll ask as we go along from there. All right, The Landlady. Billy Weaver had traveled down from London on the slow afternoon train with a change at Reading on the way. And by the time he got to Bath, it was about 9 o'clock in the evening. And the moon was coming up out of a clear, starry sky over the houses opposite the station entrance. But the air was deadly cold, and the wind was like a flat blade of ice on his cheeks. "Excuse me," he said, "but is there a fairly cheap hotel not too far away from here?" Try the Bell and Dragon," the porter answered, pointing down the road. "Oh, they might take you in. It's about a quarter of a mile long on the other side." Billy thanked him, picked up his suitcase, and set out to walk the quarter mile to the Bell and Dragon. He'd never been to Bath before. He didn't know anyone who lived there, but Mr. Greenslade at the head office in London had told him it was a splendid city. "Find your own lodgings," he said, "and then go along and report to the branch manager as soon as you've got yourself settled." Billy was 17 years old. He was wearing a new navy blue overcoat, a new brown trilby hat, and a new brown suit, and he was feeling fine. He walked briskly down the street. He was trying to do everything briskly these days. Briskness, he had decided, was the one common characteristic of all successful businessmen. The big shots up at head office were absolutely, fantastically brisk all the time. They were amazing. Quick timeout. One, aside from being a type of iced tea, do you guys know what brisk means? Humphrey?
Brisket.
Close, although that is delicious. Still no.
It's like basically walking quickly or being
With confidence, yeah. And so briskly is walking quickly with confidence, and the whole like, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to yell at an 8th grader. And so, hey, 8th grader. And so, did you leave a thing in here? Do you know where it is? I don't have it in my pocket, so I don't know. You're welcome to look around the corner to see if it fell over there. So he says he's going to be moving briskly with everything he does. He talks about wearing a trilby hat. I did not know what a trilby hat was, so I had to Googlinate it. This is what a trilby hat is. And so that's what he's wearing as he goes around. Speaking of good luck, by the way, I didn't hide it from you, I swear. Who is our main character so far?
Billy.
Billy. Do you know anything about how old is Billy?
17.
We got to that one. Where is Billy?
London.
Bath.
In Bath. He came from London, went to Bath. So what country is he in?
Britain.
Good enough. England, Britain,
Germany.
UK, not Germany, different country. And so that's where he was going to be. Germany is a different country. I don't know.
I think you mean Russia.
That would also be a different country. Way to name many different countries. They should have a class here that teaches that. And so with him being 17, we're going to find out that Billy is out in the real world as like an adulty person, working like a real adulty job kind of thing. And so he's going down and traveling and stuff like that. He's out in the real world trying to work his job, and he's trying to find the Bell and Dragon, which is a type of hotel. And that's where he is as of so far. Do we have time of day yet?
Afternoon. 9 o'clock.
And how do we know it's 9 o'clock? Oh, right there in the first paragraph, 9 o'clock in the evening. So nighttime, all this is going to play a role in a moment. There were no shops in this wide street that he was walking along. Only a line of tall houses on each side, all of them identical. They had porches and pillars and 4 or 5 steps going up to their front doors. And it was obvious once upon a time, they'd been very swanky residences. But now, even in the darkness, he could see that the paint was peeling from the woodwork on their doors and windows, and that the handsome white facades were cracked and blotchy from neglect. Suddenly, in a downstairs window that was brilliantly illuminated by a street lamp not 6 yards away, Billy caught sight of a printed notice propped up against the glass in one of the upper panes. It said, "Bed and breakfast." There was a vase of flowers, tall and beautiful, standing just underneath the notice. He stopped walking. He moved a bit closer. Green curtains, some sort of velvety material, were hanging down on either side of the window. The flowers looked wonderful beside them. He went right up and peered through the glass into the room, and the first thing he saw was a bright fire burning in the hearth. On the carpet in front of the fire, a pretty little dachshund was curled up asleep with its nose tucked into its belly. Quick pause. You guys know what a dachshund is?
A type of dog?
Yeah, it's the wiener dog. So that's what a dachshund is. A wiener doodle. The room itself, so far as he could see in the half-darkness, was filled with pleasant furniture. There was a baby grand piano and a big sofa and several plump armchairs, and in one corner he spotted a large parrot in a cage. Animals were usually a good sign in a place like this, Billy told himself, and all in all, it looked to him as though it would be a pretty decent house to stay in. Certainly it'd be more comfortable than the Bell and Dragon. On the other hand, a pub would be more congenial than a boarding house. Congenial meaning friendly and outgoing. There would be beer and darts in the evening, and lots of people to talk to, and it'd probably be a good bit cheaper too. He had stayed a couple of nights in a pub once before, and he had liked it. He'd never stayed in any boarding houses, and to be perfectly honest, he was a tiny bit frightened of them. The name itself conjured up images of watery cabbage and greedy landladies and a powerful smell of fish in the living room. All right, good place to time out for a second. So Billy shows up in this random town, and what is he looking for in random town? Place to stay. What is recommended to him is a place called Bell and Dragon, which is like one, really awesome name for a place. But 2, it's just like a basic pub, hotel kind of thing. What does he find on his way to pub place?
A boarding house.
Boarding house. Well, here it's called bed and breakfast. Do you guys know what a bed and breakfast is? Well, then you're a step above me. When I was in junior high, I would have had no idea. Bed and breakfast, for those of you who don't know, is like a hotel, but instead of a big building, it's in someone's house. And so you can literally just rent out rooms in your house and call it bed and breakfast. The idea being is that random people can then stay there, you cook them food, they get to sleep in like your guest room, and then they pay you monies for it. And that's just a thing that you can do. When people need money, it's sometimes an option. Nowadays, they have a thing called Airbnb, which is like a whole new way of trying to rent out places and stuff like that. But the idea being here, staying in a bed and breakfast is great because if you're missing home, you get to stay with a family. But for many of you, the thought would be incredibly creepy because you're not staying at a hotel. You're staying in a person's house with like them walking around and using the bathroom at night and stuff like that. You're probably not going to have a bathroom in your room. It's going to be down the hall and there's other people and stuff like that. That's sort of where you stay. And so that's what he's trying to figure out, which one I want to go at. Bed and breakfast, normally more expensive, but also a lot more cozy. Hotel, it's usually cheaper, but at the same time, it's just like a party place you get to stay in. He's trying to figure out which one he wants to do. Oh, by the way, we have a bed and breakfast here in Fishers. If you go to Conner Prairie, right across the street from Conner Prairie, where the entrance is, there is a big blue farmhouse-looking building. That's a bed and breakfast that we have here in town. And so people that have weddings there and stuff like that, you can actually stay there, and there's a family that runs it, and they rent it out to people. Happy.
My mom's friends.
There you go. And apparently it's connected to Happy. So yeah, that's the bed and breakfast that we have here in town. To continue on. After dithering about like this in the cold for 2 or 3 minutes, Billy decided that he would walk on and take a look at the Bell and Dragon before making up his mind. He turned to go. And now a queer thing happened to him. He was in the act of stepping back and turning away from the window when all at once his eye was caught and held in the most peculiar manner by the small notice that was there. Bed and breakfast, it said. Bed and breakfast. Bed and breakfast. Each word was like a large black eye staring at him through the glass, holding him, compelling him, forcing him to stay where he was and not to walk away from that house. And the next thing he knew, he was actually moving across from the window to the front door of the house, climbing the steps that led up to it and reaching for the bell. He pressed the bell far away in a back room. He heard it ringing. Ding, ding, ding. And then at once, it must have been at once, because he hadn't even had time to take his finger from the bell button, the door swung open and a woman was standing there. Now normally, you ring the bell and you have at least a half-minute's wait before the door opens. But this dame was like a jack-in-the-box. He pressed the bell and out she popped. It made him jump. She was about 45 or 50 years old, and the moment she saw him, she gave him a warm, welcoming smile. "Please come in," she said pleasantly. She stepped aside, holding the door wide open, and Billy found himself automatically starting forward into the house. The compulsion, or more accurately, the desire to follow after her into that house was extraordinarily strong. Quick timeout. He decides to do which one between Bell and Dragon and Bed and Breakfast. Which one does he go with? Bed and Breakfast. The reason being?
The eyes were staring at him and forcing him to go in.
Yeah, there's no real good reason for it. It's all of a sudden he's like staring at, and all of a sudden it's like hypnotizing, and he's like, I'm gonna go inside, and he just walks up to it. That part does not really connect to the rest of the story. It's just a weird moment that he has. But to continue weird moments, goes up to door, rings doorbell. And as soon as he rings doorbell, what happens? So once again, normally you ring doorbell and you have to wait a little bit. It's like, ding, pop, she pops out, dog. He's like, ah. So this, as soon as he hits the bell, out she pops, like she was just on the other side of it, which we find out a little bit more about in a moment, but definitely freaks him out. How old is Lady when she opens door?
45 to 50.
So here's a quick side note. I've been doing this story for years because what happens in it really makes me smile, and there's some fun things that make you think. And years ago when I told the story, I always talked about her being a really old lady. I'm like this old lady in the house. Now, turns out I'm 43. How old is she? 45. So she's young. So that's what I figured out now, is that she's not some old lady. She's a young lady, because 45 to 50 is not old like I used to think it was. Now it's like really, really young. So that gives you more information as we get into it and my own sadness. So moving forward from there, we're going to find out more about her. They're making their own poor choices. They have too many points. Let them get rid of them. Sometimes it makes people happy.
Stop. What?
"Please come in," she said pleasantly. I saw the notice in the window," he said, holding himself back. "Yes, I know. I was wondering about a room." "It is all ready for you, my dear," she said. She had a round pink face and very gentle blue eyes. "I was on my way to the Bell and Dragon," Billy told her, "but the notice in your window, it happened to catch my eye." "My dear boy, why don't you come in out of the cold? How much do you charge?" 5 and 6 pence a night, including breakfast. That was fantastically cheap. It was way less than half of what he'd been willing to pay. "If that is too much," she added, "then perhaps I can reduce it just a tiny bit. Do you desire an egg for breakfast? Eggs are expensive at the moment. It'd be 6 pence less without the egg." Tomorrow, we'll find out more about our girl. Your homework is work on your book reports. You're not doing it next week.
Is there even more death in this story?
What? Not every story has to do with death. Maybe some stories are about good things.
But